Hey, you. That's right, you, the person that clicked this video and kind of wants to play Smite, or maybe has played Smite and sucked a lot, or maybe hasn't played Smite yet and just wants to not suck. This video's for you. Honestly, I'm trying to break this down as simple as possible, so don't get mad if I go a little slower in some areas. It's not going to take that long anyway. I'm really only talking about two distinct pathways for you, a beginner, a newer player in Smite, maybe coming from Paladins, coming from another game, seeing all the pro action and saying, I want a piece of this, on how to improve and get up to speed as soon as possible. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this excellently put together, might I say so myself, guide on how to improve in Smite. And might I just say, welcome to another episode of Raynday Gaming. My name is Raynday. If you didn't understand that already, you're probably not going to get most of this video, but nonetheless, I appreciate you watching. So let's get this ball rolling. How do you improve in Smite? There are two distinct ways that I think you can take, two paths, so to speak, two roads diverged in a wood. Okay, enough analogies for the same exact thing. There are two options for how to improve in Smite that I think are feasible and effective. However, they end you with different strengths and weaknesses at the end of those paths. So I'm going to describe those two paths to you, which path I chose, why I think it was a good choice, and allow you to see the options of choosing a different path. I've known people who have taken both paths, had success, still play Smite, still love it, still do well in the games that they play. So either way, you are not making a bad decision. This is just a little bit of an awareness of what those decisions will grant you. And this isn't like a Telltale game where you make one decision and then the character that you made it against is going to remember that and hunt you down 5 episodes down the line. This is actually kind of a path where you could change it if you feel like it's, something's different now, you feel a different way, and you want to go about learning Smite in another way. All in all, both will result in you having a good time and learning the game. It's time to talk about approach number 1. That is to learn a god. And learn that god well, amigo. Approach number 1 is basically picking a god and learning that god. Specifically, just going into Smite and learning the game modes, learning all of the items through one god's eyes only. Now, this can seem like a very good plan to some people, and this can seem like a very far-fetched, crazy plan for other people and like unrealistic. But a lot of times, this actually does pan out. Now, while this option doesn't give you everything and does leave you with some weaknesses that Path 2 would have given you as strengths, it does give you a great opportunity to learn the game and to experience success and to climb up in the ranks of higher competition maybe a little bit faster. Specifically, let's get into the actual benefits of taking a one god approach to learning Smite. A, you become a master. Learning one god in Smite means that you get to know the ins and outs of that god, and that means that you're largely going to be better equipped to play that god than most people you're going to come up with, especially at your level as you're grinding through 1 through 30, getting into the place where maybe you could even start playing ranked if you'd like. You're going to have a lot of hours put in onto a Medusa or a Neith or, a Fafnir, whatever the god is that you chose, more so most of the time than your competitor. Knowledge is key in Smite, and this path also offers you in-depth knowledge of how to build this god. What works, what doesn't work. It's very, very easy to learn a good build on a god if you put enough time into it, if you try enough items, and of course, having only played one god throughout your entire time of leveling up, you're going to have a lot of experience about power curves, what items do what to your god, when you need to pick them up, what type of, ganks are possible, or what type of laning you need to do before you're viable in a team fight. All of these things come together very, very easily when you keep having that repeat experience and can draw off of your past experiences to help you play better and better each time. Essentially, the playing field stays the same. You start to learn the game and it becomes easier, more familiar. That is the benefit of playing with one god. Another benefit is you learn the items specific to that class pretty well, or at least specific to that character, and typically you can apply that to a majority of the class. Say a warrior, most warriors are going to benefit the same way from most items. I'd say 85% of the items in Smite. There are going to be some warriors that maybe are a little bit more auto attack focused, like an Osiris, that may benefit from some certain items that another warrior may not, like a Chalk. So you have to understand that there are going to be those differences, but largely understanding a specific class power curve by playing that god all the time that is in that class will be a big advantage to you as well. Now, the other beneficial part about this method of learning Smite is that you give yourself a chance to learn the game. So because you're continually not having to learn new skills, you're not having to learn new item builds, and once you get to a certain level of competence with your god, it's kind of plug and play, you're really able to focus more on the stratagem of Smite. And Smite is a very strategic type game. A lot of times, Smite can be won based on positioning or awareness of the map. Those are two vital things that a lot of YouTubers, pros, and even casters talk about impacting your performance. Much more, actually, I think, than Paladins, because Paladins is very mechanical oriented. Smite, I think, a little bit more oriented around your positioning and your timing. So one of the best things about this approach is that you get to learn and focus on those things more so than the mechanical aspect of learning a new god, and that could be a very big benefit for a new player. For example, let's say you've never played basketball, and I say you have to not only learn the game rules of basketball, but you also have to learn how to effectively shoot a basketball, and you've never done either. That means you have to focus on the mechanical skill, and you have to worry about out of bounds, inbounds, three-pointers, how many dribbles can I take, pivoting, traveling, backcourt violations, 24-second clock. All the meanwhile, you still don't even know how to shoot. Splitting your time in that way means that you're not going to achieve maximum success in either of those categories. So if you know how to pass, shoot, and dribble already, you don't have to worry about getting the ball stolen from you or not being able to make an open shot. You can just focus on learning the rules at that point, and that should be a lot more straightforward considering you've got the other part handled. Now, there is an abridged version of this path, and that is for somebody who wants maybe more of a broader experience, but not the single god experience and not the I want to play every god experience. And that is to play every god or play a bunch of gods within only one class. For instance, play a bunch of warriors or play a bunch of guardians, play a bunch of hunters, only play mages. In fact, that's how I started, to be honest. I just loved mages. I would play mages all the time. Any mage that came out was my new main, and if a cool assassin came out, if a cool hunter came out, on her I liked from the beginning, I would play those here and there, but mostly it was mages. And that did allow me to not only learn a specific style of god, so understanding the positioning, the team fight spacing of mages became easier and easier, but I was also able to understand a bit of variety and start to learn a few more gods than just a Poseidon or just an Isis, or just a Scylla, right? So I got myself a little bit more knowledge, but I also kept it limited enough so that I wasn't too worried about learning completely new mechanical skills, completely new positioning, timing, builds, and items for the game, and I could largely stay focused on becoming a better Smite player overall. And trust me, what's right for me doesn't mean that it's right for you. Pay attention, see what resonates, and give it a try after this video. So the second option, and this is a little bit more of the jack of all trades, master of none, that has a little bit more of a benefit at the end game versus the beginning of the game, is that you can try to master, and not necessarily master, but play and get an experience with every single god in the game. Now, this has a lot of obvious potential benefits that I'll get into later, but this also has a couple of potential blocks that people may not be able to actually cross right now. Considering if you're going to play every god in Smite, there's like over 70 or 3 or 75 or something like that, you're probably going to need the ultimate god pack. And it is a free-to-play game. Not everyone who's playing Smite has, $30 to spend on video games. And so they may not be able to actually just unlock all the gods in order to play them. So this may not be a feasible option for some of you. But for those who can, if this is an option that you're interested in, let me tell you what it will do for you and why this could be a really good choice. Earlier, we established that knowledge is an important part of becoming a better Smite player, and there's no better or more important knowledge in this game than understanding other gods that you're playing against and with. Sometimes just having an awareness of the battlefield and what those other gods are trying to do to you when they're trying to do it, how strong they are based on what they're building, and also what type of peel or what type of aggressiveness they can have based on who else is in their lineup against you, can help you to decide your tactic for how you want to go about this battle. Also, just knowing what a god's abilities are means that you're better able to counter them or play off them or play against them. It's just a very, very important thing in understanding what somebody can do to you in a fight so that you're more prepared to interact with it. Obviously, playing all of the gods gives you experience with all of their skills and abilities. It also lets you build items on them and have moments where you see, oh, that's really powerful. Oh, that's how that interacts with this ability, and I need to be careful for him healing and using Shield of Regrowth because that's going to give him a lot more speed than I would have typically imagined. All of that type of stuff helps to give you a wide awareness of knowledge in-game that you wouldn't have if you only played one god. Do you know what Serket's full combo does? Do you know even what to look out for? Who wins in the laning phase between a Medusa and a Ram? How do you understand how many forms of CC Ratatoskr has and can use against you if you've never played them? And of course, you may play against these gods in your journey through a one god development cycle in option 1, but again, having not played these gods, not even taken a look at their actual skills in game yourself, will make a big difference and kind of put you behind in terms of knowledge, what to expect in game, and what may just come out of the blue and shock you and make you die more than you should. Now, option 2, because you're playing all of these different gods, if you're able to, means that you will get a wide array of knowledge of the actual game. You'll have to build a lot of different gods in a lot of different ways. You'll play a lot of different lanes. You'll have a lot of different timings to go off of and a lot of different experiences as you reach level 30 and beyond. You'll be able to pull from a lot more accounts of what worked, what didn't work in specific scenarios, and hopefully use that to your advantage as a more experienced player. Although you won't be a master with any god, you'll have this, huge library of experiences to pull from, and that should give you a overall advantage as you continue to experience more and more success in your Smite games and improve mechanically with more and more gods. And while you are experimenting with more gods, you will have to be focusing on learning the game as well. So again, being new to Smite and being new to every god, every game that you play, could make for some frustrating experiences. It may not be the fact that you just didn't understand a rotation was coming. It may just be the fact that you didn't realize how vulnerable this specific god was to that rotation versus the god you played last game. And that could be a frustrating factor. Like I said, from my personal experience, I decided to play a specific class of gods just because I enjoyed it. And I think largely, no matter what you decide to do, whether it's option A or option B or option 1 or option 2, I think you have to enjoy the game. If you find that one thing you're doing is following these set of guidelines I put together, but you're not enjoying yourself, then mix it up. It doesn't matter if you're playing for the long haul, but you never get there anyways because you stop having fun. So keep enjoying yourself in the game. That's the most important thing. What god should you play? The god that looks the coolest, the god you have the most fun on, the god you got the most kills on last week. Have a great time and continue as you become a more experienced Smite player to understand that learning more gods will give you certain benefits, and mastering specific gods and taking them to the higher levels will give you certain benefits as well. You may learn some items faster, but you may not have that breadth of knowledge, and if you go for the wider array of knowledge, you may not have the specific experiences in those circumstances to pull from like you would have just playing one god. Either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have your own thoughts on how to improve as a Smite player, or if you've been a Smite player in the beginning and now are a veteran and you have some comments to share to some hopefuls, let us know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a like as always and subscribe to stay tuned for more. Thank you for 130,000. We're keeping on going, Raynstorm, and I couldn't be happier to have you all along with me. As always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.